be communication with other libraries or branches. I mean, this is typically used a lot in public libraries as a centralized selection. And there may be profiles, there may be a lot of different things that preclude to that. So that it's not, they're not working in a vacuum. They're actually working with information from the staff and other sources. Decentralized selection involves more committees where it's a collection development office, but then there are other arms of that. So there may be committees, there may be other groups, there could be a teen advisory group that's helping to select titles. Or then you also have something that Kathleen talked about last week, which was vendor selection, where the vendor does some or the majority of your selection for your materials. That is really done on a library by library case. Now, selection criteria, basically, regardless of the format, you're going to have very similar criteria that are used for the materials. So you're going to have that subject matter. Is it appropriate for the library? Is it actually meeting the demands of what your collection does? Construction quality. Some libraries refuse to carry spiral bound things or temporary bindings. Potential use. Is it actually a topic that would actually be used at some point in your library? The relationship to the collection. Bibliographic consideration is really about the author, the publishing house. It's like, do they have good quality? And then there's always that ever-bounding piece of cost. Is it a good book at a fair price? Because there could be a book that you really need, but it may be a bulk of your budget, so you may not be willing to purchase that in lieu of getting some other materials. Now, college and universities, their primary objectives, as we've talked, are support their curriculum and support research. Now, one of the things they would tend to look at would be choice, because that is an annual review of 7,000 titles with potential use for undergraduates. And they would tend to use standing and blanket orders to try and get a bulk of their collection and then spend their time infilling those things that don't immediately pop up into those sections. Now, one of the issues that universities are having is that with the grappling with the journal inflation rates and the cost of the online materials, because it remains to be seen to what extent that's going to be increasing, and the fact that the budget is not really increasing. So a public library, regardless of its size, whether it's a small branch ranging or a small library in a small community ranging from just a couple hundred volumes to someplace like New York City where you've got 3 major public library systems, including the Library Journal Library of the Year, which is Queens. Now again, their focus for a public library is really to serve their needs of the community. Now, growth of the collection is modest because of limited budget, space, and the continual removal of worn out or outdated materials. Now, perhaps the main difference in a collection development in a public library and other libraries are the wide range of users, with customers being infants to adults, and there's strong emphasis on recreational needs which could also include educational as well as informational. Now there's two factors that kind of play into public libraries as well. You've got speed and coordination. So really, the speed of which you can get a book into the library so that you get that bestseller on the day that it's released, not 6 months after it's released when everyone's had a chance to do it. Then there's also the issue of if you have that latest Harry Potter, but you have one copy of it, that's probably not going to meet the demands of your customers either. So what you need to do is look at how do you get multiple copies or something like that. And that's where you can talk about maybe a McNaughton plan, where you actually lease that title and then when you're done with it, you send it back. Or deciding not to buy some other things so that you can buy additional copies. Now, libraries tend to do, like, say, Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, Book List, because they include pre-pub alerts. Now, you also have things like Early Word, which really tries to bring those pre-pub alerts online, as well as a great list of people with a variety of lists to help cull through to kind of make sense of everything that's coming out. Now, two special features of the public library collection development really are the self-education needs, which range from basic language and survival skills for recent immigrants to improving gained skills in schools to maintain current knowledge of a subject. So in addition to that true educational function, there's the self-help. So how to repair a car, how to fix a sticky door, how to prepare a meal, or how to prepare a motivational speech or presentation. So there are those aspects. Now the last feature of note really is genre fiction, which in a lot of cases is the bread and butter of a public library. It really is the staple. Now, even though most people read only a few types of fiction, regular fiction, whether it be mystery, spy novels, or science fiction, thus learning about the different types of fiction and their authors can be a challenge. But there's a really good source, Genre Reflecting, a guide to reading taste in genre fiction. Now, it's also kept current by Genre Fluent, which is online. Now, similar to academic or colleges, you also have the School Media Center, which its major support really is for the curriculum. It tends to have lots of instructor input because it really is an ebb and flow between the School Media Center and the staff, as well as the teacher actually maybe even being a teacher in the library. So there really is a lot of back and forth there.